Hey guys, Zombie here, and welcome to my world record history video for Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. World record history, you know it, you love it, and arguably better than world history. Before we hop into the video, I noticed that over 98% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, and that makes me wide peepo sad. If you want to make me wide peepo happy, one sub equals one wide peepo happy, and let's try to get to 1,000 wide peepo happies. It'll put a smile on my face. Alright, now let's get into the video. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, or just Rehydrated from now on, had a large speedrunning community right as it came out due to a large speedrun community in the original game, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, or just BFBB from now on. It's important to know that Rehydrated and BFBB are not the same game. Rehydrated is a remake of BFBB, not a remaster, meaning it was remade from the ground up. Glitches in BFBB are not doable in Rehydrated and vice versa. The level design is very similar and the graphics are updated, but the way the game plays is very different, and it's very important to understand that going into this video. Before we hop into the specific category we're going to cover in this video, we first have to understand generally what an any percent speedrun is. An any percent run is a speedrun of any game where you complete the game as quickly as possible without the use of cheats. Glitches are allowed. The category we're covering in Rehydrated today is the any percent taxi glitch category. Before we get into what that category is, we first have to know there's two separate leaderboards. There's the PC leaderboards and the console leaderboards. This is due to there being an auto splitter for the PC version that eliminates the load times from the speedrun. It will pause the timer during a load zone and then start it again when gameplay starts again. For this reason, PC speedruns are IGT, or in-game time speedruns. Console does not eliminate these load times, so it's an RTA, or real-time attack speedrun. The difference between IGT and RTA is just the inclusion of loads. The reason IGT is used for PC is because it makes the speedrun on a more level playing field for everyone, and the introduction of an auto splitter is not that hard to implement. On the other hand, implementing a auto splitter for a console version is much more complicated, and it's not done for this run. I'm the current world record holder for the any percent taxi glitch category on console, and I need all of your help, but we'll get to that later. Now into the history. Rehydrated came out on June 23rd, 2020, and the name of this category changed several times since it came out. It started as any percent, transitioned to 2spat or 2spatula, then transitioned to any percent unrestricted, and then transitioned to any percent taxi glitch. 2spat, unrestricted, and taxi glitch are all essentially the same thing, just in that they're separate from any percent. They wanted to keep a no taxi glitch category that still collected 77 spatulas, which is similar to the any percent speedrun of the original BFBB. As you can imagine, 2 spats versus 77 spats, we're skipping right to the end of the game. But before we go into how we do that, I just wanted to address a quick question I think you might be asking. If this game has only been out for about a month, why are you already making a world record history video? Doesn't that seem a little premature? In most cases, I would say yes, it would be too early to make one. However, as I mentioned a second ago, I need your help. The console category of this speedrun is in jeopardy of dying, as the most recent update patched out the taxi glitch and it's no longer runnable. I'll explain the implications of this later and what you can do to help us all out. Now let's talk about some strats we need to understand before jumping into world records. We're gonna chat with AwesomeBrewski, or just Brewski for short, the world record holder of the taxi glitch category on PC, and he's gonna explain to us how the taxi glitch works on PC.
Taxi glitch is basically performed by using the ability to warp to a location that you already have access to and using it on a location that you do not have access to yet. This is basically done by using either a controller or your mouse and the keyboard as two different input devices and pressing the A button on both of them at the same exact time. Both of these A presses have to be done on the same exact frame, so it is very precise. Taxi glitch was originally assumed to work by pulling up the taxi screen for a level that you have access to and then going out to the menu and doing the double A input. However, later it was found that all you had to do was hover the spatula of a place that you have warp access to. In taxi glitch's case, it is the pineapple, and then going out and hovering the chum bucket. Afterwards, it was actually found that the value for the pineapple that allows you to warp to it is actually already selected from the very start of the run. So from the beginning of the run, you can actually go straight to Chum Bucket and then do the AA input and get the warp. This actually works with any level in the game. The only restriction, as far as we know right now, is that it can only be used on the first spatula in each level.
This early version of the taxi glitch that involved clicking into Bikini Bottom first was found by Lando and Zin, and the strategy to go directly to Chum Bucket Lab without having to click into Bikini Bottom was found by Small Fry. The taxi glitch on console, on the other hand, was found by Krispy Kreme and was performed in a different way. On console, you opened up the menu, clicked A to go in to look at the Bikini Bottom spatulas, selected the first spat, and when the taxi was on the screen, you would hit A to confirm that you wanted to warp to that spatula and hit start immediately to close the menu and click it again to reopen it. Then, you could hover over any spatula in the game and warp to it by closing the menu. This was a better taxi glitch than on PC, as it allowed us to go to any spatula and not just the first spatula of a zone. Unfortunately, this taxi glitch has been patched in the most recent update at the time of this recording. If you've played the game before, you know that the cruise bubble is required to both defeat Robo SpongeBob and destroy some of the fuses in the brain. So you may be wondering, how do we get the cruise bubble? Well, the game is designed so when you enter the fight against Robo SpongeBob, you get granted both the Bubble Bowl power-up and the Cruise Bubble power-up. This allows us to defeat Robo SpongeBob and destroy all the fuses in the brain without having to fight Robo Sandy or Robo Patrick beforehand. Once the taxi glitch was discovered on each platform, runners were rapidly developing new strats to complete the game as quickly as possible. In fact, there were so many strategies being found so quickly that some strategies that were found were obsolete within minutes. Now that we know the most essential trick to this run, let's jump into some world records and I'll explain tricks as they're introduced. I just want to quickly explain how I'm going to be going through the world records. I'm going to touch on each world record that was on the leaderboard. However, it is definitely possible that there was a world record time achieved, but by the time it made it to the leaderboards, it was no longer a world record. This happened to me several times, so I know that this is a real possibility. What I mean by that is, someone can get a world record time that at the time of recording would be a world record, but by the time they submit and it gets verified and put on the leaderboard, it is no longer a world record at that point. I only have access to no world records that were actually on the leaderboard. I'm also going to use a spreadsheet made by Sam that shows the world record progression in each category. Big shout out to Sam. I'm going to use some screenshots throughout this video, and of course I'm referencing it right now. And I did get permission from Sam to use it in this video, and you can find the link to it in the description below. We're going to be starting with the console category, as it's less optimized and uses less tricks, so it's going to be easier to digest first. The first world record on console was achieved by Thief HD 209 with a time of 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Let's take a quick look at the route he used, so when we reroute, you can see what changed. Thief starts by warping to Robo SpongeBob, and on console, we can warp directly to the brain after warping to Robo SpongeBob. And the reason we do this is because if we go directly to the brain, we don't get granted the cruise bubble that we need to complete the game. PC does not have the ability to do this, and this is actually the reason that the category name got changed from 2-spat to any % unrestricted, as on console, we only had to collect 1 spatula to complete the game. Once he's in the brain, he jumps onto the trampoline and doesn't get a bounce and jumps down to the platform below. He uses a cruise bubble to hit the first fuse and then jumps off to respawn next to the trampoline. He then jumps on the trampoline, lands on the next platform, and uses another cruise bubble to destroy the next fuse, and then jumps off to again spawn at the trampoline. Then, using the trampoline, Thief jumps up to what I'll call the first platform. The 3 platforms up top I will be referring to in terms of numbers. The first one that you land on, the one you're seeing right now, I can refer to as the first platform, platform 1. So on this first platform, Thief disables Plankton, uses a cruise bubble for the first tunnel fuse that's in the brain, and then uses another cruise bubble to destroy a fuse below. He then jumps on the trampoline to go to the second platform. He once again disables Plankton, and then uses a cruise bubble on the second tunnel fuse. He then jumps to the third platform, disables Plankton, uses a cruise bubble to destroy the third and final tunnel fuse, and then jumps down to destroy the last fuse with the Bubble Bash. This resulted in a time of 2:43. This was also on the Xbox One original, which is important for later. The next world record was achieved the same day by Krispy Kreme with a time of 2:41 on the Xbox One S. Again, this is going to be important later, that's why I mentioned the platform. He starts the same way by warping to Robo Sponge and then to the brain. From this point forward, we'll just start from inside the brain because every run will do this. Krispy Kreme jumps on the trampoline and gets the bounce, and then uses a damage boost to get over a death plane. So I just want to quickly explain Hans triggers and death planes in Rehydrated. There are different areas in the game that are out of bounds that you can go into for a short time before Hans, who's the hand, will come and grab you and place you back in bounds. However, there are some other areas in the game that have death planes, where if you touch it, you just immediately die and respawn. This damage boost launches him over a death plane and drops him down onto the platform below. Just a general rule in this speedrun, if you're gonna die at any point in any run, you want it to be with a death plane and not a Hans trigger. Hans takes a very long time to grab you, pull you off screen, and place you back on screen again in bounds, while a death plane instantly kills you and has you respawn. This damage boost was found by Foggy89 on PC. We will find out later that this damage boost was unnecessary as you could jump over without a damage boost. Continuing on with the run, Krispy Kreme jumps down and destroys the fuse with the bubble wand. He then continues as normal until the first platform. The main difference here is after he disables Plankton and destroys the first tunnel fuse, instead of stopping and using another cruise bubble to shoot down towards the next fuse, he does what's called a Cobra missile or a cruise bounce. They're used interchangeably. This was discovered by Cobra. I will be calling it a Cobra throughout this entire video, as there's a lot of tricks that have cruise in the name, and for me it gets kind of confusing in my own head. Also, I think Cobra just sounds cooler. Due to the fact that the world record run did not use the same route as Krispy Kreme, and was faster than Krispy Kreme's run, we see this route take a little while to come back. The next world record was again by Bobby Wasabi with a time of 2:09, mostly due to a warp optimization and some minor movement optimizations. The next world record was also achieved on the 25th of June by Crimson King. This also used Thief's original route, but implemented Cobras off of every trampoline where it saved time. Once again on the same day, Crimson King improved his time to a 1:48 by adopting the strategy used by Krispy Kreme and using Cobras. This is also the first run on console that does not disable Plankton at the end, instead uses a Cobra to destroy the third tunnel fuse, then take damage from Plankton to get out of the animation, and then just jump down to destroy the last fuse. Due to the run being so short, small time saves like this do add up. Once again on the 25th of June, the fifth and final world record on this day for the console category, Bobby Wasabi achieved a 1:47 with just some movement optimizations over the Crimson King record. The next day on the 26th, Bobby Wasabi improved his time to a 1:45 with a new reroute. This reroute was a pseudo-adoption of a new route on PC due to a trick found by Squilliam, that I refer to as Squilliam Bowl. Although Squilliam Bowl was not performed in this run, it did destroy a fuse earlier than we used to, which was determined to be faster. So in the route that Bobby Wasabi used, when you jump to the first platform, before jumping down, you would use a cruise bubble to destroy the fuse on your left. This meant we didn't have to destroy it later from the first platform, the one that's up top. The route is then the same up until we get to the first platform. Now, instead of having to disable Plankton, destroy the tunnel fuse, and then use a Cobra to destroy the fuse down below, we didn't even have to disable Plankton. We can immediately jump to the trampoline and do a Cobra, and instead of aiming it down to that fuse, we just reroute it in through the tunnel to hit the fuse on our right. Something interesting that can happen here for anyone who decides they want to run this on PC is that if you jump onto this trampoline and Cobra too quickly after landing, Plankton will actually hit you on the second platform before you hit the fuse. Just something funny to keep in mind. I find it amusing in speedruns when going too fast either ends up in the run being slower or completely kills the run. In this case, it actually completely kills the run. Then from this point forward, using the same route as his previous world record, he secured a time of 1:45. This record would go untouched for a little over a week and a half. Then, on July 5th, with nothing more than a movement optimization, I took the world record. It went up as a world record as a 1:45, but that's because we didn't retime it. I'm near certain it was a high 1:44. However, these few milliseconds didn't matter, as I went on to improve this record the very next day. On July 6th, I achieved a time of 1:31, a time 14 seconds faster than the day prior. This run included Squilliam Bowl and a complete reroute. With this route, we used the trampoline to jump over to the platform, and instead of jumping down, we run to the left and jump to the platform with the fuse and destroy it. Then we land on the trampoline without bouncing on it, and using some precise movement, we can avoid death planes and land on the platform below. We then destroy this fuse and use Squilliam Bowl to destroy the fuse below us and in the distance. Compared to the route used by myself and Bobby Wasabi in the previous 2 records, this route saves about 15 seconds over that in a run that's less than 2 minutes already. Then when we jump on the trampoline, it brings us up to the first platform, and the rest of the run is the same as the previous 2 records achieved by both myself and Bobby Wasabi. I then took a break for a few days, but I knew that a sub 130 was possible. Then, on July 9th, this happened. With some movement and camera optimizations, I was able to shave the time down to a 1:29. The timer says 1:30, but after retiming it, it was a 1:29, and on the leaderboards, it's also listed as a 1:29. This is where the record stands today, and it's currently completely unbeatable, and here's why. The most recent update, as I mentioned, patched the taxi glitch on console. The only way to revert to a previous version is to own a physical copy, but that restricts you to version 1.0. However, all of these runs that I just went over were performed on version 1.0.1. The problem with going back to version 1.0 is that you cannot perform a Cobra missile, which is pivotal to the speedrun. Without Cobras, my time cannot be beaten. So here's where you can help. If you own this game on console, whether it be Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, anything that's not PC, if we want the category to survive, we all have to strat hunt and try to find new ways to warp to Robo-Sponge and the Brain earlier. I'll leave an invite link to the BFBB Speedrunner Discord, which includes both the OG game and Rehydrated, where you can start talking with other runners and trying to strat hunt. Of course you can do it on your own as well, but if you find a strat, we'd all love to know. Now we're going to move on to the PC world records. I'm not going to go as in-depth on these records as I did with the console version, as the PC category is not in jeopardy of dying right now. Taxi glitch still works, Cobras still work, everything is still doable on PC. I will touch on every world record though, even if it's just briefly. I'll also mention major route changes throughout this world record history, as well as where new tricks were introduced. There are some tricks that were only ever used on PC, and I will go over these in detail as I did with tricks in the previous section. In addition, if someone got consecutive world records, meaning they had the world record and then got a new time that beat their own world record, I will talk about the fastest record of the bunch and mention how many consecutive records they have. If that's confusing, just give it a second, we'll get to one of these in a moment. The first chunk of world records all came on release day, June 23rd, with the first one being achieved by Zin, who didn't know that warping directly to Robo-Sponge automatically granted the powers, so he warped to Robo-Sandy and Robo-Pat before warping to Robo-Sponge. Which is completely understandable, because who would think warping to the final boss would automatically give you the powers? He clocked in with a final time of 8:50. However, this run was real-time attack, it was RTA, it did include loads, is what that means. This is the only run on this entire list that will include loads. Zin also fought Robo-Sponge casually, and ran the Brain casually, which is completely understandable for the first world record in a category on release day. The next 4 records were all achieved by Shift, who you probably know because he has the world record in every major category in BFBB. The fastest of the 4 times was a 2:31, which included a warp directly to Chumbucket Lab, a more optimized Robo-Sponge fight, and a more optimized route. This route was very quickly improved upon, but it's surprising to see how many strats and how much optimization happened so fast on release day. The next record was achieved by Fogey89, again on release day, with a time of 2:29, Foggy is the one who discovered the damage boost to get over the death plane, so he used this route in his run. Foggy's run also included Cobras. The next two records were both achieved by Shift, with the better of the two being a 2:19, still on release day. This run did not have the same route as Foggy, but using Plankton Disable, he saved some time. Plankton Disable is a strategy used in the fight against Robo Sponge and is therefore only used in the PC run, as console skips right past it. By hitting Robo Plankton with a cruise bubble right before he shoots you, it actually disables Plankton completely, and he won't fire any projectiles at you. This makes the fight against Robo Spongebob much faster, as you can fire a new cruise bubble as soon as the last one hits. The next day, June 24th, Tom Dollars came in with a time of 2:14 with just some movement optimizations. Later the same day, Psycho Boot came in with a 2:13, again with more movement optimizations. On June 25th, Feastra came in with a time of 2:06 with an early version of a strategy known as Hard Left. I won't go over this version of Hard Left, as it's not the one that's used today. While still a good strat, the one used today is more optimized, so I'll just go over it when we get to that one in a world record. The next record was achieved on the same day by Hunter D. Johnny with a faster 2:06 with some movement optimization. The next record was achieved the next day, the 26th, by AwesomeBrewski with the time of 2:04. This is the first world record run that used the hard left that we use today. Because this is a PC only strat, I'm gonna let Brewski explain this one. I also just wanted to quickly mention that this strat was found by Tom Dollars.
Hard left basically got its name from the fact that you're hitting the two bulbs on the left side of Robo Spongebob's body, and it's very difficult. Hard left was originally just named left side, but after the discovery of easy left, which will be discussed later, the names of them were changed to indicate which one we were talking about. The way that I personally do the Robo Spongebob fight is that I drop off the platform and I cruise bubble the top right bulb on the front of Spongebob's body. After that, I do the Plankton Disable and I hit the left side of his body, and then I do hard left. After hopefully getting hard left, I move to the left glove and then I do right side. Right side is basically hitting on the right side of his belt buckle, which hits the bulb above it and the bulb on Spongebob's right hand when he is slouched down. After that, I hit his right side and then I hit his nose, and then phase 1 is officially finished.
On the 27th of June, Psycho Boot came in with a time of 1:57. This strategy introduced another unnamed bubble bowl that I like to call the second platform bubble bowl. This was a pre-Squilliam Bowl strat that involved using a bubble bowl from the second platform to hit the fuse below to avoid using a cruise bubble to hit it. I was actually in the process of learning this strat when Squilliam Bowl was found, and this strat became obsoleted, so it was never used in a console world record run. The next three records were all achieved by AwesomeBrewski over the course of the next week and a half, with the fastest time being a 1:47. I know I said I'd only talk about the fastest of the times if there was consecutive records, but I wanted to mention the second one as it introduced a strat for the first time in a world record. In the second of the three world records achieved in this time frame, AwesomeBrewski used a bubble bowl that I like to call the final bubble bowl. I actually have a tutorial on how to do this bubble bowl up on my channel, so check it out if you're interested on how to do it. But basically, instead of jumping down from the third platform at the very end of the run to bash into the last fuse, you can use a bubble bowl off the side of the trampoline and have that hit the fuse instead, which saves about a second to a second and a half. And he used it in the second run but not the third, so I wanted to touch on that quickly. In the fastest of the three times, Brewski used a strategy known as easy left, which he also discovered, and I'm going to let him explain how that works.
Easy left is roughly the same as hard left, where instead of hitting on the left side of his left eye, you instead hit below his eye and you hit the bulb on his nose and the bulb on his lower left. And what that changes is basically nothing except for the fact that instead of hitting the nose at the very end, you hit the top left of his body, which is why it loses a small amount of time.
Brewski used easy left here as this was the time that Squilliam Bowl was discovered, and on PC, a lot of runs were lost to either the warp or the fight against Robo Sponge. For this reason, most PC runners were willing to give up about 3/4 of a second to do easy left and get it more consistently to get more runs to phase 2, aka the brain, rather than having to reset on Robo Sponge over and over again. The next run was achieved on the 6th of July by Squeebler with a better 1:47. This run included hard left compared to Brewski's previous record that had easy left. However, Brewski's movement was more optimized, so hard left didn't save as much time as it could have. This world record only lasted 10 minutes, and legend has it it was the best 10 minutes of Squeebler's life. Over the next 2 days, Brewski achieved another 3 records, improving the time down to a 1:44. This route included hard left, schooling bowl, and final bubble bowl. And then, everything changed. There was a new strat discovered by Squeebler that is known in the community as the YOLO Bowl. Let me just tell you that YOLO Bowl on console is near impossible. In practice, I would do it for 3 or 4 hours and hit it maybe 10 times, just doing it over and over and over again. However, due to the PC any percent taxi glitch category being more optimized than the console version, this trick is implemented in future world records. YOLO Bowl is a bubble bowl used from the second platform up top that eliminates the need to use a cruise bubble to destroy the fuse at the end of the tunnel. This is done by shooting the bubble bowl off the side of the trampoline and into the tunnel. This is an extremely precise trick and very hard to hit. And just getting the bubble bowl into the tunnel is not enough to destroy the fuse. It has to go in a very specific way and has no real setup. And due to the fact that it has no real setup, that's why it was called YOLO Bowl. Now, everyone on PC was trying to get a run with YOLO Bowl. Because YOLO Bowl saved so much time, about 4 or 5 seconds, it made runners more hesitant to reset their runs. The main objective was to get every run to the YOLO Bowl just to try to hit it. And if you hit it, you wanted to make sure you finished that run, as it still might PB even if you lost some time in other places. Master G was the first person to hit a YOLO Bowl in a world record run, clocking in with a time of a better 1:44. This is due to several reasons, one of which being easy left, as well as some time lost throughout the run that might have prompted a reset previously, but due to YOLO Bowl being so difficult, he powered through. The next 2 records were both achieved by AwesomeBrewski, and the faster of the 2 being a 1:42. I do want to mention that he had an earlier 1:42 than the one he posted, but he forgot to hit record. While there's no way to verify this, me and Brewski and some other runners were consistently in voice calls, and all of us believed him. There's no reason for us not to believe him. Whether you do or don't is up to you, however, he did end up getting a 1:42 that he submitted to the leaderboards. Brewski's 1:42 also did easy left and YOLO Bowl, and had some movement and warp optimization. And this is where the record stands today. However, with the implementation of hard left and final bubble bowl, as well as hitting YOLO Bowl and having fast, crisp movement, a faster time would be possible. However, due to the sheer difficulty and the amount of grinding this would take, I'm not sure this will happen in the near future, unless someone is very, very, very motivated to do so. I asked Brewski for his thoughts on this as well.
The record is definitely improvable, but it would take a lot of motivation to actually achieve a better time. New strats are currently in the work on the PC version that could make record easier to achieve, but with the unpredictability of YOLO Bowl, it would be incredibly difficult to get hard left and or final bowl in a run with YOLO Bowl.
If anyone watching wants to challenge AwesomeBrewski for his world record, and wants to try to go for hard left, YOLO Bowl, and final bubble bowl, go for it. New runners are always welcome in this community. I just want to reiterate one more time, just in case you were skipping around, which is absolutely okay. I'm going to leave the speedrunning Discord for BFBB in the description below. This includes both the original game and Rehydrated in the same server. So definitely join if you're interested in starting to speedrun this game. Currently, the PC version is able to be improved, while the console version is not. As I mentioned, this is due to the patching of the taxi glitch and Cobra not being in the game in 1.0. I wanted to make this video to hopefully reach casual players of this game who are interested in speedrunning, to not only interest them in speedrunning this game, but also to encourage any console players to strat hunt for new ways to warp to the end of the game. I know this is a long video, and it took so long to edit, so if you made it this far, please subscribe. As I mentioned at the beginning, over 98% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. And if you watched this far, I'm sure you enjoyed, and I would really appreciate you coming back for future videos. If there's a strat found, I will make an update video and put it on my channel as well, of course giving discovery credit to whoever found it. In addition, if that video is made, I'll put an info card on the top right and put it in the description. I hope to see this video bring in some new speedrunners, as well as hopefully finding a way to revive the console category. If you have any questions about the speedrun, of course there will be people in the Discord willing to help you. But that's going to be it for me for now. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in another video, and until then, see you soon.